Texting. Is it 8 to 8 here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes. All right, we're
Right
good.
in the middle.
Right in the middle where it needs to be.
Go forward, though.
All right, go forward a little. Anyway, welcome back to the mid-sack. Wet my whistle Wednesday. The redoubtable one, triumphant return to the ring, Tom J. Izzo. The highly questionable R.J. Miliaccio. Segment 2 of IDD, for those of you who know, I don't disagree.
Doesn't get much more gamified than that.
Not really.
Izzo and Miliaccio.
The law offices of Izzo and Miliaccio are now open. Anyway, well, the break in the
Everything's
law
under
offices,
the table.
Everything's under the table. That's the slogan. Everything's under the table. You're all under the table. Oh, God. Anyway, that's terrible. Segment 2, IDD, for those of you who know, I don't disagree. Listen, now, you got my take on this, but one of the things I want his opinion. He brought something up tonight that I did not think of. You guys have seen, last couple days, obviously people have been attacking Calipari, mostly Pitino. Pitino was worse. I said Calipari got one up by Pitino. So we've heard that everybody else take, but he brought a perspective that I had not heard. Now he has seen the press conference with Pitino. You guys know what happened. He threw his team under the bus.
You sent it to me.
Yes.
You were texting me as it was happening.
Yeah, it was awful. I couldn't believe what I was looking at. But again, it's him.
Was
I surprised? No, because it's him. But he brought up a very interesting take on the way to practice tonight, which I hadn't thought of, and I wanted you guys to get to hear this because it's true. I think he's right about this. So first off, when you saw the press conference, what was the first thing that went through your mind?
I mean, it was pretty despicable. I don't agree with the whole coddling college athletes. I think they're allowed to be criticized.
Yeah, to a point.
Same thing with professional athletes.
Yeah.
But the way he just trashed them as some garbage that he was forced to, put out there on the court, that was just such horseshit.
That's kind of the way it came
it was just kind of look, we knew we weren't going to win in our first year. We had to go with, who we could get. We knew coming in we weren't, and it was just God damn, dude. Has there been a point this year where you were trying to inspire these kids? Because if so, it must have been complete horseshit the way you're talking about them now. Yeah. So that was initial reaction.
Yeah.
But then the part that you're asking me to share right now is I started thinking back to when Deion and Colorado started going on their nosedive.
Yeah, their dip. Yeah.
And Deion held a press conference, and you got all over him about it.
I did.
And I was like, it's not that big of a deal. But this really reminded me of that same press conference that Deion had after they lost to Oregon, I believe it was.
Who's a very good team.
No
shame in losing to Oregon.
and they were the best team by far you had seen that year.
Yeah.
Your kids were not used to that.
Mm-hmm.
And you came in and said, beat me now. Beat me now, because this is as bad as we're going to be. And talked about how, you basically talked about your lack of talent.
I think he said 7 or 8 players away. Is that what he said?
Yeah, but it was a similar, just kind of these fucking guys I'm with now. I haven't even had a chance to recruit yet, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's just man, whether that's true or not, come on. If you still want your team to play out the rest of the season hard for you, don't do that. Yeah. And it made me go, yeah, you were right to look at Deion like that. I don't think I saw it in Deion because I like Deion.
Well, I get
Whereas
that.
I've
made that mistake.
I don't like Pitino.
Yeah. Oh,
so
he's easy.
He's
easy.
He also did it. His was much worse.
Yeah, his was much worse.
But I think
he named names. Deion didn't go that far.
No,
Deion wasn't as bad.
Yeah, he was this guy, wants to play 29 minutes a night at the power forward spot and only have this many points. That's not going to get it done.
Doesn't get to the free throw line.
Yeah, I was like, whoa, dude.
Yeah. And then the guy that he said was slow laterally. That kid, unathletic. It's he'll give you all he's got, but he's got nothing. That's basically what he was saying.
So Pitino obviously was way worse. I think also, if Pitino had done it on the same level as Deion, I would have instantly hated it because I don't like Pitino.
Yeah.
So seeing that parallel of just kind of blaming your lack of talent for a loss.
Which I was wrong the other night because it turns out he brought in 11 of these players. 11.
Pitino.
Of the 15 scholarship players, he brought in 11. So it kind of, and that's where he said we didn't have enough time, we had to go with what we had. I'm like, You brought in, I didn't know this the other night. I thought most of those kids were there, and he brought in like 1 or 2. No, he brought in 11. That was a number I found out the other day. I'm like, 11 of the 15-man roster is
insane.
You're doing? And you're saying that?
And you're talking about those kids like they're trash.
Oh, my God.
And see, that's the part that bothers me, because if he actually recruited 11 kids, that means...
Or brought some with him from Iona,
right.
maybe, whatever he did.
Yeah, however he did.
Yeah.
If he went to those kids and their families and said, I want you, you lied.
You lied.
You absolutely lied.
Or, more importantly, you didn't do your job. You didn't develop them.
But if that's true, then fuck. You can't be out here talking shit about it.
But this is where I got mad. And what I said, because he said something, I don't know if you heard this. He said it took me 2 months to get him to throw a bounce pass. Let me explain something to you. And I've been coaching. This is 22 years of coaching, talking.
He said that?
He said this. This was in that rant. It took me 2 months to get him to throw a bounce pass. They just want to take quick threes. They don't want to do it. It took me 2 months to get him to throw a bounce pass. I'm like, okay, just to be clear, it hasn't taken me 2 months to get JV kids to throw in high school a bounce pass who were never going to play college basketball. These are Division I athletes.
You've gotten 9-year-olds to throw
a bounce pass.
Now, it took long.
It did. It took about 2 months.
And they don't consistently do it.
But still, the thing is, they're 9. This is Division I athletes. There's a kid that he criticized. I looked this kid up. He's averaging 16 points a game, 9 rebounds and 2 blocks, and 56. This is in the Big East. He's doing this. This kid doesn't stink. And I said this on the internet. That kid doesn't stink. He's doing that in the Big East, not the whatever conference you came from, the MEAC.
I love that you looked that up.
Oh, I did look it up because I'm like, well, when you call out a name.
Yeah.
When you say a name, and this is what see, as bad as Dion wanted, Dion didn't say a name.
No.
So I'll give Dion
didn't go in.
He didn't go this far. No. He didn't go this far. No. He made it about himself, and that pissed me off like this guy did. But
he pointed at a lack of talent.
Yeah, but he didn't name names. No. He didn't do that. So, but again, Dion was an athlete too. Pitino never played pro anything. Yeah. So he doesn't get the whole I mentioned Belichick would never say a guy's name in public. Never. Whoever was screwing up, he would never do it. Even if it was obvious, he wouldn't do it. That's the only thing I give Belichick credit for. He would not undress a guy, and those are pros. If you're going to do it with somebody, do it with pros, because they have at least.
Well, he would save it for the fucking meeting room.
Yeah, which is where. And by the way, kudos to JJ Redick. We're going to get into him in a minute, but JJ said today on the air, he's like, "Look, I wanted to be coached hard. Just don't do it in public." Right. Which is what I said about Dion. I said, I have no problem with you saying that, Dion, but say it behind closed doors and turn the camera off. Mm-hmm. This was part of my rant. JJ Redick said it today on the air. He's like, I don't have a problem with that coaching me like that, but don't do it in public. Don't air our laundry in public. Yeah. And that's what I was saying about Dion. Mm-hmm. Okay? Yeah. Now, the difference is, again, Dion did not name names. Yeah. He didn't go that far. Pitino did. That's over the line. That's too far. Yeah. That's too far.
And it was he was just so nonchalant, so kind of fucking...
No, he thinks we're all beneath him.
Kids. Yeah, exactly.
And it's not. Look, you think we're losing because of me? It was like that's the way he made it sound.
Right. And when you think about how often you say talent means nothing,
it doesn't.
And if that's true, then fucking coach, Rick.
Here's what I said the other night. I said, great coaches adapt to their talent. Pitino, and he did this in Boston. I saw this up close. I didn't get it because he was in New York and was pretty good with the Knicks. They won 50 games when he was coaching them. But when he came to Boston, it was like he had a style he wanted to implement, but he didn't have the personnel to do it, and he tried to do it anyway. And that's why he failed. Great coaches adapt to their talent. People always gave Belichick credit for this. He never focused on what guys couldn't do. He focused on what they could do, and he put them in position to succeed. It sounds like the exact opposite here.
Yeah.
Based on what we're hearing. They're just not, if you know they can't go 94 feet, why are you doing that?
Right.
There's how many zones can you? We've seen 4 different zones at the 9-year-old level. You can do a lot, half court presses, half court traps. Yeah. You can, if you're a great coach, you adapt to the talent.
Right.
But here's where he's a hypocrite. He sounds like he wants to win, but then he says, "I didn't expect to win." It's like, but then he gets mad. Then he gets mad. Yeah, this is where people. This is where even Wilbon, who's a Hall of Fame writer, missed it. You can't say, I didn't expect to win, but we can't do this, this, and this. I'm like, well, you can't do that.
Right.
Okay? What you do is if you're trying to win, because that is your job after all, you take the talent you have and go, all right, what do these guys do well? What can I do with them when they have a chance? That's what a great coach does. And if they lose doing that, so be it.
No, you said the same thing when Dion did it. Yep. Because you were like, if you know you're 8 players away, what are we ripping these kids for?
Why are we ripping these kids for?
Because they're playing against competition.
And what conference were they in? The best fucking conference probably in America. They had 6 ranked teams at one point. They had a better year than the SEC did.
Yeah.
And this is the conference he came into. So what do you expect?
And they beat some good teams.
They beat some pretty good teams. Like, I got news for you. If they were not in that conference, they'd have been 500 or better. Easily.
Yeah.
Easily. They had one heavyweight after another.
If they were in the ACC?
They'd have been 500. The ACC wasn't. The
They would
ACC
have been like in the middle.
Yeah, ACC top 4 were good. After that was a drop-off. The Pac-12 this year was like 8 deep. Yeah. They were the 8th team.
I remember they played USC tight.
Yep. Who's got the Heisman, the number 1 pick in the draft, that kid. That's like the 7th team in the Pac-10.
They lost to them by one score. Scored like 41 on them.
They were in that game. Yeah. And they were a bowl team. Okay, so the thing is like, that's where I got mad at Dion. I'm like, you're in the toughest conference in America this year. And if you already know this, if you're outgunned, okay, fine. But don't, Pitino, though, they were 12-4. They lose 8 out of 10, but in a power conference, they've got 2 teams ranked in the top 10, and then you got Creighton, who just beat UConn.
I keep getting visions of things he said, like when he was like, I mean, even when I was in Boston and we were losing in Boston, that was
such
enjoyable.
Bullshit. That was such bullshit.
But this is the most unenjoyable experience.
By the way, you know how enjoyable it was? After a road loss to Miami, he didn't come back on the plane with the team. He just resigned and left. He left Miami, never came back to Boston, put his house in the market from wherever he went because he didn't want to face the Boston media. But he had such a glorious time in Boston.
So is that when he went back to Louisville? Because wasn't he at Kentucky? Then he left Kentucky and he went to Louisville?
He went to Louisville because Kentucky was before Boston.
So before Boston, then he
went to
failed in Boston and he went to Louisville. Yeah. And he was good
He
again
took
there.
the rest of the year off and then but he didn't come back on the plane with the team. This gutless wonder, this fraud of frauds.
You know who that reminds me of? Fucking
Parcells.
Urban Meyer.
Yeah, that's the other one.
He did the fucking same thing in the NFL.
Yeah, he did.
Remember when he didn't go back with the team after like a Thursday night game?
Yep.
And then he was caught on camera dancing with some
cheating on his wife.
Some young woman.
Young woman.
He's dancing behind her, and it's like, what the fuck?
What a donkey he was.
His team went back?
Yeah, he
didn't fly back with him? Mm.
But this is what Pitino did. And yet he had such a great time in Boston. What? No, you didn't.
It was enjoyable.
No. I mean, he was there 2.5 years. His first year was his best year. They were 36-46, and they beat the world champion Chicago Bulls with that loaded Jordan Pippen Rodman crew. That was the best win he had in Boston. And he had Chauncey Billups. He gave up on Chauncey Billups at midseason. Billups is now going to the Hall of Fame. How bad does that look? Okay.
Did you all draft Billups?
Yeah, we drafted Billups and Ron Mercer at 6, who was his guy. They won the Mercer, who after he left, he fizzled out.
Another Kentucky guy, right?
Another Kentucky guy who had a great mid-range game, but he couldn't dribble. He was just a shooter.
Yeah, he kind of fizzled.
Yeah, he kind of fizzled. But the thing is, and he brought in Antoine Walker, who stuck for a while.
Shit.
Walker made 2 All-Star teams. He did.
You had a bunch of Kentucky guys.
Walter McCarty, Tony
Walter
Duff. We
McCarty.
had 4 guys from that national
McCarty,
championship team
yeah.
that beat my buddy Jimmy's team, Syracuse. That was the team that beat them. That was Pitino's first national title. Still pissed at you, Jimmy, for that because you should have fucking won that game. But anyway.
I like Antoine Walker, but he fell in love with the 3.
Oh, God. And he was bad at it. He did beat the Lakers, Kobe, and Shaq at the buzzer in LA with it, though. The 3-pointer at the buzzer to beat Kobe and Shaq. That was the highlight of his career. And they won the title that year. So
Marquette just slapped the shit out of DePaul.
Yeah, Marquette got off the mat. But anyway, so I wanted to hear his take on Pitino. I wanted you guys to hear that because I thought it was very interesting. I didn't put 2 and 2 together, but he did. Dion, to be fair, didn't go that far, and I actually like Dion. I like most of what he's done. I just hated that he did that in that moment. Yeah. But Pitino, I haven't liked him since he ruined the Celtics and fired Red Auerbach. And by the way, he's lucky to have this fucking job. He's lucky he got a chance after the shit he pulled. I mean, he had to fucking go away for 5 years and then get a job at Iona, and he started to resurrect his career. He starts out pretty good at St. John's. I mean, they were 12-4 out of the gate. Like, that was impressive. Given no one, by the way, expected St. John's to win his first year.
He seemed to be doing a good job.
He did. He seemed to be.
And then he had a complete meltdown.
Yeah, this was ridiculous.
He just kind of reminds you of who he is.
Yeah, he doesn't change.
You know?
Him and Calipari will
What
never.
an ego.
Him and Calipari will never change. And by the way, the Kentucky boards on Calipari, oh my God. I thought I was rough on him the other night.
So try to explain to me what Calipari did. Not for too long, because I want to talk about Doc, too.
Yeah, well, Calipari, when they beat Auburn, who was playing, that's Bruce Pearl. He's a good coach, Bruce Pearl, by the way.
Oh, they won that night.
In Auburn, who was ranked, they were ranked 13th, and they went in there, and Kentucky had won 4 of their, they had won 1 of their last 5 games, 3 at home.
They were struggling.
And these kids got off the mat. They go into a Lions den. This team's playing well, and they beat them, convincingly. So instead of coming out and saying what he should have said, which was, look, credit to the players. We weren't playing well. We weren't coaching well. They got off the mat. They came into a place. These guys are on fire right now. And they stepped up, and this was a check me game. What are you made of? This tells me that we have a shot at the end of the year because these kids have this in them, and give them all the credit. If he had just said that, he'd have been fine. Not this guy. He comes out. He sees a couple of reporters that were giving him shit, and the players, because they were losing games at home they shouldn't be losing. And he goes, well, look it. Leave my kids alone. Let them learn. You come at me. You come at me. Like after beating Auburn, they were going to criticize the kids. Like, what a donkey.
What are you talking about?
What a donkey. You think... it's still funny 48 hours later because I'm like, you just beat Auburn in Auburn. You know, if Calipari had an ounce of any...
Let my kids be young.
Yeah, like, what the fuck? By the way, they're at Kentucky, which is one of the staple college basketball programs in the history of college basketball. That fan base is fanatical. They're like They're like the Indiana Hoosier fan base. They're like the Duke Carolina fan bases. The UCLA. They're one of those blue blood old school franchise, 7 national titles and a litany of history. Yeah, they're going to get criticized there because it's that kind of program. We thought, and by the way, you took that job because Pitino had that job, and Pitino won a title, so you had to win a title, then you're staying. Now you're trying to get a second one to one up Pitino, but you're not really doing that because you're a recruiter and not a coach.
It feels like Kentucky's almost like Notre Dame football.
They've won a national title in the last 30 years. Notre Dame hasn't.
Well, they've won multiples, haven't they?
No, only one.
Just one.
Well, Pitino won one when he was there. Cal won one. But with the talent they've had, look at the
so they're different.
Look at the talent they've had. Notre Dame doesn't get that kind of talent. No, these guys get Calipari alone. His first round draft picks. Think about Derrick Rose and John Wall and Anthony Davis, and think about this. Julius Randle. Think about the guys that have come through. You know, Kentucky, Lexington, Kentucky.
Well, who's the one kid? Not a kid anymore. Kid went to the Bulls.
The kid. Derrick Rose.
Derrick Rose.
Who won league MVP.
Did you just say that?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
League MVP. Derrick Rose. Okay. This is the kind of talent he's had.
What about the
kid from Oklahoma City? Who's the kid from Oklahoma City who's really good?
SGA?
Yeah, he's from there too.
Isn't Malik Monk and who's the other guy on Sacramento?
De'Aaron Fox.
De'Aaron Fox.
I think he's from there too. He's had more fucking talent. His talent at the next level could put an NBA All-Star team together with
Anthony Davis.
Anthony Davis is the one he won the title with. Okay, and he's got one. He should have at least 3. I said he should have at least 3. He's got 1.
But he also only has those guys for 1 season.
1 year, because he doesn't coach. He recruits, and they stay for 1 year and they leave. That's it.
I kind of respect that.
I don't, because he doesn't teach him anything.
I know, but he does.
And by the way, if he doesn't get them,
it gets them to the opportunity they want.
But the thing is, when you have that kind of fucking... I mean, even Boeheim was a bumbling boob, did this 1 year and won with Carmelo Anthony. I mean, the thing is, like, he should have won it.
You're saying these guys are going to the NBA no matter what.
No matter what. He's got nothing to do with it. No matter where they go, they're going to the NBA. These guys are top... He gets 3 of the top... He gets 3 of the top 20 players in the high school every year. Yeah. Every fucking year he gets 3 of the top 20 without fail. Without fucking fail, because it's Kentucky, the brand. The fucking brand, and they play in the SEC, which is a top-notch basketball conference. That's why. It's not him, okay? So, and he doesn't develop them. Yeah. So that's the thing. Look, I'm biased. I'm a coach. I like guys that develop players because that's their job. And by the way, you get paid to win. This is Kentucky. You should have heard these chat boards like, hey, dickhead. You got 1 national championship, and you've probably recruited 2 NBA All-Star teams already, and you got 1 fucking national championship to show for it. See, Kentucky fans know basketball. He's not fooling them. Yeah. He's not fooling them. That's why
Booker go to Kentucky?
I don't think so.
Where'd he go?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Definitely went to Kentucky.
You think so?
I think so.
Well, good. Throw it along in the fucking fire. He's only scored 70 in a game.
I'm pretty sure.
You could be right. I don't know. I'm just saying he's had enough talent to field basically 2 NBA All-Star teams in his time in Kentucky. He's got 1 national title. Yeah, throw it along in the fire, Tom. Go ahead. Further proof of my point. You're just making my point. Okay? So, yeah, he said Devin Booker to America. Think about the fucking 5 guys I just named.
How many has Duke won?
They've won 5 national titles.
In the past?
Since Krzyzewski's time, they won 5 in 30-something years.
Well, he's been there since, 1940?
Yeah, but he also was number one.
Was he there from 1945?
Yeah, he also has been to the most Final Fours.
Yeah.
He's also been. He's
kind of had the same talent level, but he's actually
won. And he's developed players. Like Grant.
The one thing I liked about Krzyzewski, because I always kind of hated him.
A lot of people hated him.
I love the way he adapted to one and done and was like, I can do this.
He can do it.
I can still coach like this.
And he did do it.
And get the most talented kids in the fucking country.
Because he's Mike Krzyzewski.
I thought that was pretty good.
No, he proved he could win both ways.
That showed me something.
So, but see, Krzyzewski is a coach. And Kobe Bryant, before he died, because Krzyzewski was the coach of the 08 Olympic team. And Kobe Bryant loved him. He loved Krzyzewski.
Did you watch the Redeem Team?
I did.
What did you think? I thought it was a good documentary.
It was a good documentary. And Kobe Bryant was exactly what that team needed because he's old school.
Yeah.
And the best part was, and that whole thing was when he took out Powell and told his players, his teammates, he was going to do it. And LeBron, this is why I laugh at LeBron. I'm like, nah, he ain't going to do that. Like, that's why you're LeBron. Mm-hmm. And that's why he's Kobe. And by the way, I'm sick and tired of people putting LeBron over Kobe when he's not better than Kobe. He's not. He's fucking not. Okay, so, but anyway, the point is this. Krzyzewski's a coach. He's an actual coach. That's why I've always loved him.
Oh,
Dean Smith. I'm not a Carolina guy. I love Dean. Dean Smith was a coach. He was a fucking coach.
Yeah.
Bobby Knight, I hated him, but the man could coach. If he wasn't a dickhead, but in terms of knowledge of the game, X's and O's, Bobby Knight knew it all. Fundamentals, he was just a dick about it. Yeah. That was the problem. But if he could coach, he could fucking coach. Okay? He was just an asshole. Jim Calhoun, UConn, 3 national. He could fucking coach. He was a coach. Ask Ray Allen about Jim Calhoun. Okay? So the thing is, but Calipari's a recruiter. Pitino's a glorified recruiter. That's all they are.
Who's the guy at Houston?
What's his name there?
Is it Kelvin?
Calvin Sampson.
He's a good coach.
Excellent coach. Yeah. He won at Oklahoma and he's winning. Houston's up to number 3 again. Yeah. And they've made a run to the
I think Shaka's actually a really good coach.
Shaka is a good coach. Shaka's a good coach. He can coach.
He's a good coach. He's not on the level of
not yet.
Dean Smith.
He's been to a Final Four though. He's been to a Final Four.
As a mid-major.
Yeah, that's even harder to do.
Insane.
That's saying a lot.
Yeah.
Shaka can coach. And I get why people are mad they left because he's the best coach they've ever had here. He is. So look, Marquette's in the top 10. He's that good. He won at Texas. He just didn't want to stay around. It was a football school. Yeah. But anyway, he's a coach. So my thing is this: I have a bias towards actual fucking coaches.
Yeah.
Okay, because if my son ever gets that good, he's not going with a Calipari. I don't care if he's the best player in the country, and Calipari walks to my door promising everything. So, no, you're not going there.
Because if Calipari's offering you have plenty of other options.
Yeah, you have other options. Yeah. You think Anthony Davis wasn't going to go pro if he didn't go with Calipari? Give me fucking Roy Williams, who just
7 feet tall.
Yeah, Roy Williams, who UNC won 2 national titles. Roy Williams, great coach. The guy in Kansas right now,
Roy Williams was a great coach.
He was a great coach. Yeah. Yes, he developed his players too. Yes, he did.
I always thought he just kind of rode Dean's coattails.
No, he learned from Dean Smith.
That's true. That's a good point. That's a good way to put it.
And because he won at Kansas. He left and won at Kansas. And then came back and won at Carolina. He won in both places. Now, again, Kansas and Carolina are 2 of those blue blood staple college programs like Kentucky. But he won at those places. And that's sometimes even harder because the pressure there is even greater. And Bill Self, who I think is the best coach in the country, is at Kansas now. And he's won.
He's another one that's always had the talent. But he's won with
But he coaches them. He coaches them. And that's why I respect those guys. Tom Izzo at Michigan State. He's a fucking coach. Yeah. He's been to 8 Final Fours and won a national title. He's never had the fucking talent Calipari's had.
Yeah.
He's never had talent like this. His best player ever is Draymond Green. You're telling me that Draymond Green's better than Anthony Davis? No, he's not. Derrick Rose won a league MVP. He's never had a fucking guy like Derrick Rose. But Izzo's a coach.
Yeah, he won a national title with Mateen Cleaves.
Yeah, wasn't a great.
He was a really good point guard
in college, but not in the pros. No. He got to the pros, but he wasn't a great player. So he's
a fucking good ass point guard. Yep. Knew how to run a team. He was a leader,
and he had a coach.
Yeah, and
he had a coach.
Yeah.
So that's my bias towards them. Speaking of coaches.
Are we transitioning?
We are transitioning because we have to address this.
Then we spent 24 on Pitino and Cal. That's not too bad.
No, because everybody's been talking about it, and justifiably so. I can you, if his name wasn't Rick Pitino, he'd been fired for that.
Yeah.
He'd been fired for that.
Well, St. John's is trying to rebuild their program.
Well, they have a winning record. They won tonight. They're 15-12 in their first year. They were like 8-20 last year. Whatever they were, 8-25. So they're better already.
They're not going to fire him.
No, but it does take time to win. You don't just flip. But even with
they beat Georgetown, like you said, 5 points.
They beat Georgetown.
Scored 90.
They didn't play any defense.
Jesus.
So at the end of the day, they can't stop people. But again, if he's going full court man-to-man again, instead of learning his lesson and sitting him back in a 3-2 zone or a 1-2-2 or a 1-3-1, screwing up that way, he probably went full court man on him. Fucking donkey. but Georgetown can't stop a nosebleed either, so they outscored him.
Out full court press the entire game.
Coach, the guards are. I don't care.
We're giving up layups on every possession, but we're getting threes.
Thank God they can't stop us either. But anyway, as we're talking, we're segueing to Doc, but we've got a Donnie here in New Mexico. The Lobos, who are 20-6, knocking on the door of a top 25 ranking, are tied with number 22 Colorado State, 30-30. Just started the second half.
Drinking this stuff like fucking water.
It's like candy. By the way, this is the other one.
Oh yeah,
this is
segment 2.
Yeah, this is the other
Mountain
one.
Dew Zero Sugar Major Melon.
See.
Now with the pin, I still think this one takes the cake.
It does.
With the pin whip, the Major Melon.
You hit it so far. I don't know that it's landed yet. So even as good as the other one is, it's not going to reach this one.
Dude,
and the other one's good.
The Pinnacle Whip with the Major Melon is literally a watermelon Jolly Rancher.
Yeah. If you ever had a Jolly Rancher, you know they're good automatically.
Yes.
Picture it in liquid form. Okay, so anyway,
and it's getting you tipsy.
Tipsy, yes. It's wetting the whistle on a Wednesday. Anyway, so look, and again, he heard this. This came out today. You guys have probably heard it. It really started. It started yesterday morning on First Take when J.J. Redick blasted Doc Rivers. And by the way, everything he said was factual. And then in the afternoon, because Doc's son, Austin, who's also a Dookie like JJ, was asked the question or asked, what do you think of this? And he defended his dad. And actually what he said was also true. So...
But it was different than what JJ was actually saying.
It was. JJ was saying this guy, every time he fails, he's got an excuse.
Right. And he doesn't take personal accountability.
He never takes personal accountability.
Now,
even against Memphis.
Right.
He brought the Memphis game up right before the All-Star break when they lost to that bet JV level Memphis.
The G League team.
Yeah, they lost to it bad.
What did he say?
He said that, look, we're evaluating. We haven't our full team together, this Memphis team. And he's like, they were playing with fucking G Leaguers and guys.
I think I saw Stephen A. say that.
You should have shown up and beat them with the talent you had, because all your guys played. And by the way, Redick is not wrong about this. Yeah. So I get why he said it. Look, I have a soft spot in my Doc. He helped for Doc. He put a banner up in Boston, but that team was fucking loaded. It was loaded. He had the greatest defensive player of this generation. He had a 26,000-point scorer there. Oh, and Ray Allen, one of the top 5 shooters of all time, showed up. It was like the perfect storm. In fact, here's the question, Doc. Why didn't you get 2 or 3 with that fucking talent? Because that's the real question. You only got 1.
It was like the first big 3 of this era.
It was this
kind of, and but I think that's the difference. Austin Rivers, I almost called him Austin Powers. Doc's son, Austin Rivers, who's now like a analyst.
Yes. On ESPN.
He went back at JJ saying he has been held accountable, but that's not what JJ was talking about.
He's saying his dad doesn't hold himself accountable.
He doesn't actually take responsibility for part of the failures.
Yeah.
So it was kind of 2 different, like they were both saying accurate things.
They were. But it was a different argument.
It was a different argument. Although Austin Rivers also kind of attacked JJ and said,
"Yeah, this was the he said the word juicy."
Because he kind of attacked.
I can show you the text. The word was juicy.
He said you had some of the best years of your career.
No, he said you had the best years, and we had to take you out of the game for defensive liability purposes, and we even built our offense around you, and you couldn't even dribble. You were a catch-and-shoot player. Now, you had a heck of a career as a catch-and-shoot player, but that's what you were. And you weren't Steph, you weren't
Patrick Beverly said the same thing, and I wish he would just stay out of it.
Why is Patrick Beverly talking?
Yeah.
I think there's one thing America, Patrick Beverly, shut the fuck up.
You're on the Bucks now. Yeah. Actually, no, you know what? So here's the thing, and we're not quite used to it because it didn't used to be like this, but players are on podcasts all the time now.
It's a different world.
Right, so like we keep thinking that players are just like running their mouth, which they are.
They are.
But they're doing shit like this. Yeah. But they have the platform to reach like millions of people. So every time they say something,
10 million viewers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because it's like, I'll sit and listen to like an NBA player like say what he means, what he feels.
Because you don't get it.
You weren't used to get it. You never get that.
Yeah. So I get it.
So he's on a podcast and there's a guy sitting next to him going, "Oh, so what'd you think about J.J. Redick, and he actually answers truthfully.
Answers the question.
I saw...
Because he's not going to get fined anymore.
Exactly.
He probably works for a network, a lot of them,
Right.
like because Redick does, and so does Austin Rivers now. But
you're probably earning revenue off your podcast.
Well, look, Patrick Beverley defended his current coach.
That's true.
On paper,
I forgot that.
On paper, I have no problem with that. But honestly, Pat Bev, what you said wasn't accurate because J.J. Redick had another offer from another team, and I remember it. So he had 2 offers. He didn't have one. He said he started you and nobody even wanted you, and that's not true. He had another offer.
Redick posted it.
Yeah, he did
have a 4-year deal.
Yeah, he had a deal with another team, and like with a 1-year option. He's like, what are you talking about, Pat Bev? So Pat Bev, if you're gonna flap your gums, at least have accurate information. Like
in typical Pat Bev fashion, it's like he comes out swinging, and you're
misses.
just like, stop.
He's that guy. Whoa!
It's like when he was doing the shit with LeBron.
Yeah.
Like doing the too small. It's just like, dude,
shut up.
Stop.
Just shut up.
Stop.
Just like, Be thankful you're still in the league.
But then did you see, like, Doc Rivers has said more things?
Yeah.
Like, he said he tried to convince Kawhi that, like, SGA was going to be a good player before the Paul George trade.
Yeah.
Why is Doc Rivers saying shit like that?
I don't know. And I don't know why he was saying, because he also said before Milwaukee hired him, he was an advisor, and he was saying, why are you firing Adrian Griffin? Don't do this. Like he said,
took the job?
And then he takes the job. So let me get this straight, Doc, because you said it. You advise them not to let the guy go. You think it's a bad idea, and then you take the job.
And then you slip.
And now Chris Canty, who was on this, goes, well, they offered him 4 years, $40 million. Would you turn that down? And I'm like, I know I wouldn't turn that down, but I wouldn't also say before that, don't do this. I would be like, if you think that's best, that's your call. I wouldn't go on there because then what does it make you sound like? It sounds like people are watching and you're trying to say, I was not on board with this. Well, then why'd you take the fucking job?
Exactly.
Because, Doc, you were making money doing what you were doing. It wasn't like you had a hard time, like you were starved for cash.
Right.
Like you needed the gig.
And you're in a consulting role, which means you probably aren't doing that much.
No, and but you're probably getting a paycheck,
Exactly.
and you have your contract with ESPN. So money ain't your issue. So when Chris Canty said, well, would you turn down 4 years, $40 million? If I had a multi-million-dollar a year gig already, yeah.
And I didn't need the stress of coaching.
If I thought it was a bad move, yes. I would, which tells you
that means the organization isn't listening to your consultant.
Advisory. So why would you want to take a job for that?
Yeah, exactly.
Like if you think I'm wrong here, I'm not taking the job. I don't care how much money you throw at me. Like
I don't know.
He's making.
I know, but for $40 million, yeah, shitty management. $40 million, fuck that. I'll go in.
I can fix it.
Well, actually, I don't give a fuck.
That money's guaranteed, right? And I get it in writing.
You know what's
so
interesting?
if we fall off a cliff, I'm still getting $40 million, right?
But you know what's interesting? When he got chosen to be the, when it was announced that he was the All-Star game coach,
Which was
some weird. But he said something that kind of surprised me a little bit. And at first I thought it was a joke, but now after seeing all this, it makes me think, this guy, I don't know. He was like, I'd rather just send my assistants and take a vacation. And I'm like, you coached 3 fucking games, dog. You've literally been coached for three games.
3 games.
And like, I know he was kidding.
Yeah.
But
he better have been kidding.
It felt like there was some like it felt like he was already tired of the shit. Because they had lost a few in a row.
If Doc Rivers was doing his job, he would have known that the situation is not salvageable.
It's not the coach.
It's not the coach to begin with. It's the players. You can't, and since you can't, all you can do is maybe pick up somebody if they drop somebody late in the season, like a mid-level exception guy or a veteran, whatever. That's the only way you can add to this roster. And anybody that's there is not going to give you any help.
The problem with the roster is the subtraction of Drew Holiday.
They don't play defense on the perimeter. And all of your opponents have good perimeter players. It's a wing-driven league now. And you don't have the horses on the wing to stop these guys. That's your problem. And the one guy who could is now at your biggest rival. And he's pissed at you. Yeah. So it's like, so what is Doc Rivers going to realistically do here? And if he knew what I think he should know, he would have never taken this job. I don't care how many zeros are in the contract. Because honestly, money ain't his problem in life. The Celtics paid him well. He was paid out well in life. Doc Rivers is farting through silk. He didn't need this job.
Farting through
He didn't need this job. Let's be honest. He didn't need the job.
He needs more silk.
There's no logical reason to take this job.
Dude.
Because, by the way, they're right. There's only one way out. You have to win the whole fucking thing.
Dude, but now they're playing with it because, Doc has so many of these quotes, like, he's saying, I told Kawhi, like, hey, SGA, I think he's going to be good in a couple years. Like, and people are like, why are you saying shit like this? So now this says, Sixers Geo on X says, Doc Rivers says he warned the Jedi about Emperor Palpatine. I told Anakin, something's off about that guy. Nobody gains that much power in the Galactic Senate that fast. And then it says, Doc Rivers reveals that he tried to warn Jesus that Judas was going to betray him. And then there's a...
Oh, God.
Then there's
that is funny.
It's hilarious.
He tried to warn Jesus that Judas was coming.
Then there's a meme that says, Doc Rivers run as Bucks head coach. And it shows Aaron Rodgers running the flag out. On Monday night, week 1, when he had a 3-play span as the Jets quarterback. And it says Doc Rivers run as Bucks head coach. That's hysterical.
That's great.
Doc Rivers reveals that he warned Emperor Constantine the 11th about the fall of Constantinople. That's Sixers Geo again.
Oh, boy. And, the sad part is that it's not sad, it's funny. The Doc's been in the media long enough to know that anything he says, they can burn you with it.
Yes.
And they will. And they can do it as fast as you're typing in someone's phone number. That's how fast it can actually go viral. He didn't think this through. He didn't think this through. But anyway, look.
Listen to this. Doc Rivers admits he was a bit confused when Milwaukee called him. I told Bucks ownership, I don't understand why you're doing this.
This is
why you're hiring me?
And firing Griffin. He thought it was a.
So that was a tough one. That's where you have the hesitation. Personally, I'll be honest. I told our owners when they called. I said, I think I don't understand why you're doing this. And they said, one of the things they said was, well, it doesn't matter. We've done it now, and we want you. And so that was a.
How bad do you want me?
That's where you have the hesitation.
The hesitation, but then he saw all the zeros. Then he saw all the zeros in the contract.
No hesitation.
And the hesitation ended.
No hesitation.
Oh my God, Doc! You just stop talking, Doc. Your stock is sinking by the day. And they did say this. JJ Redick's attack, if you want to call it an attack, it sounds personal. And everything he's saying is true, but he's going at him.
JJ?
He's been going.
He went off.
He went off.
He was like, I can't stand it with this guy.
He lost his shit on First Take yesterday.
I think maybe that's why the reaction to him is different.
Now, again, I can't prove this, but that Clipper team that Redick was on with Chris Paul and DeAndre Jordan and obviously Blake Griffin, that team was good enough to win a championship from a talent perspective, and they fell short. And they had a 3-1 lead and they blew it. Yeah. And again, Redick got a 4-year deal and he played him. I don't know.
Why would Redick be mad?
Yeah, look, I get being mad you didn't win a championship, but at the end of the day, coaches coach and players play. Mm-hmm. Okay, I don't think Doc lost that for you. He didn't help you win it, certainly. But when the players when a roster that good fails and it's not because of injury, it's on them.
Who was on that team?
DeAndre Jordan, Blake Griffin, Chris Paul in his prime, JJ Redick. I think Pat Beverly was on that team too. That team was loaded. Lob City, they were loaded. I thought they were going to win a championship there. Yeah. And they were in this. They were up 3-1 in the second round.
Who did they lose to?
I forget who it was that beat them, but they were up 3-1 and they blew
like OKC or somebody like that?
It might have been OKC. It might have been. I don't remember. But they should have got to the conference finals at least.
Oh no, the Rockets beat them.
The Rockets beat them. That was with what's his nuts?
Harden.
Harden was there. Yeah. And so, if he's mad about that, it doesn't hold water. To me, I get you wanting to win a championship, but you can't pin that on your coach. because you had enough talent to win that championship. And you telling me that Doc Rivers was doing things in the huddle that cost you? I mean, I wasn't in the huddle, but usually when a team with that kind of talent falls short and it's not because of an injury, Doc's not the first guy I'm pointing the finger at. And again, I don't think Doc is a great coach, but he's not a terrible coach. I've seen much worse than him. So, but I don't know. And again, but I wasn't in the huddle. There might be something that Reddick knows that we don't know, and that's why he's going after him the way he's going after him. And if that's true, and it comes out, okay, fine. But I just don't know why he's going at him so hard when he did give him a 4-year deal, and he did play him a lot of minutes, and he did. I don't get it. Usually when you go after a guy because he doesn't play you, he benches you, he shafts you in terms of contract money, whatever it is. What do you say now?
Turk43
God.
says Doc Rivers reveals it was him who invented basketball, not James Naismith.
That's a Pitino quote. That should be reserved for Pitino, not Doc. Doc hasn't come off like that.
Doc Rivers when it comes to throwing his players under the bus, and then it's a highlight reel of Vince Carter dunking. Are they trying to say Doc Rivers is like Rick Pitino?
We may not know. I don't know. He never sounded like that in Boston. He never did. He never came off like that in Boston.
I wonder if this ever happened.
And him and Ainge got along very well.
When the Clippers lost, did he throw like Reddick under the bus? Did he throw some of his players under the bus?
I don't know.
Could it be something like that?
Could be. I don't know. I can't say either way. I wasn't out there. I thought it was odd that they blew a 3-1 lead with the talent they had, and they weren't injured. So Austin Rivers is claiming that there were guys that didn't want to be there, and all this, it was in the bubble and all this shit. So I don't know.
That is weird how mad he got.
James Harden traded to the Clippers working out. He wants credit for that. There's never accountability with that guy. There's never accountability.
Well, let me say a couple of things. Number one.
Jeez.
Lost his shit.
No one's going to react to Doc's audio there. We've been 7 minutes since we showed that audio. Nobody's going to react to Doc's audio.
Do you want me to get a video for you?
He's doing we beat it.
JJ is one hot potato right
I've seen the trend now. I've seen the trend for years.
What's the trend?
The trend is always making excuses. Doc, we get it. Taking over a team in the middle of the season is hard. It's hard. We get it. Just like getting traded in the middle of the season is hard for a player. We get it. But it's always an excuse. It's always throwing your team under the bus. They lose to Memphis. Oh, it's his players' fault. Memphis was playing G League guys and two-way guys. And then you look at his quotes over the weekend. Now he wants to take credit for the James Harden trade to the...
Dude, you can tell that Stephen A is a little uncomfortable.
He sounds like me yelling about Belichick.
It does.
It does.
Yeah.
But minus the profanity,
right?
Because he's on first take,
it's
and
the
I'm
profanity
minus the profanity
rant.
The buffet of profanity being slung all over the set.
Yeah. The buffet of
the
bitch. Buffoon.
The buffoonery. The
buffet of buffoonery.
Oh my God. That fan, the fan from Major League 2,
You're
that
right.
guy.
That is weird how
it sounds like there's
Going
something else going on there that's not being told. Okay?
When has he ever jumped on anyone like that?
I mean, he didn't.
He jumped on. I guess he jumps on Russo. And
he jumped on Bob Cousy and
right. He
and
jumps on the older guys.
Yeah, but not like this. Mm-hmm. He just says they played against plumbers, so Jerry West and Elgin Baylor and all those guys are plumbers. Okay, whatever. This is like, well, sure. But he's come around on that. He did a good thing today. He actually backed Elgin Baylor on something because of the All-Star fiasco. And he said, Elgin Baylor was in the stage. You guys embarrassed him. Larry Bird, he mentioned, he said, you guys embarrassed these guys. Come on. Like, he did say that. So he's coming around, I think.
Well, Scott Van Pelt had a pretty good tweet.
What did he say?
He said, it's simple. If you don't care, we don't care.
We don't care.
Yeah. Like, if you're not going to care and play hard,
we're not going to watch.
There's nothing to watch.
No.
It'd be like watching layup lines.
It's a miracle I got through the first quarter of that game.
I didn't watch any of it.
I turned it off at the beginning.
My dad texted me and said, this All-Star game is ridiculous.
211 points.
And I hadn't turned it on. I said, well, it's always. I was like, it's been a bit of a joke for years.
It's gotten worse every year.
And he goes, but 200 points? And I said, oh, God.
211 points.
That is ridiculous.
211 points. By the way, they called 3 fouls in the whole game. That's disgusting. That's utterly disgusting. I mean, we're not gonna talk about this because I'm sick of it. Anyway, that's gonna do it for our show tonight.
They're scared to play each other hard because they don't want to get embarrassed.
We will return at some point. I mean, I didn't do the Gigglesmoke guarantee. I didn't do that.
Who do you have?
I don't know yet. There's
Some NBA games.
Well,
do you want to go something bigger than that?
Well, what's the biggest game of the weekend? Let me see. The men on Saturday. Look at college men's basketball.
Dude, we
Saturday.
didn't talk about baseball. We'll have to do that next week after the first games are played.
After the first, we'll get a Grapefruit League. Saturday. If we go to Saturday, Gigglesmoke guarantee. Come on.
Oh, LSU sinks Kentucky at the buzzer. It's women's.
Oh, that was the men. Damn it. Don't tease me like that.
Sorry,
Okay, all right, listen to this. Number 2, Houston at number 11, Baylor. That's at noon. Let me keep going. That can't be the only big game of the day. It's not, right?
What's today's date?
I don't know. Number 13, Alabama at number 17, Kentucky. That's at 4 o'clock.
21st.
Yep. And then what's happening in the evening? It's going to be a primetime game. No. That's all 6 o'clock. There's got to be a bigger game. Come on. No. Are you telling me that the biggest game of the day? That can't be right.
Clippers Thunder on Friday night. Let's see. No, that's Thursday. Sorry.
Yeah, there's no after that big one. The biggest one of the day is really in the middle of the day, I think.
College.
Well, number 2, Houston at number 11, Baylor. That's at noon. It's at Baylor. All right, I'm gonna have to make that. That's the biggest one, I guess, because there's another one, but it's not as big as that. That's 2 versus 11. I mean, you've got number 13 Alabama at number 17 Kentucky. That's the other big one, really. Again, that's it. It's kind of a light. Probably because a lot of them happened during the week. Duke's at Wake Forest. Wake Forest is a bubble team. All right, so we're going to go Houston at Baylor. I picked Houston earlier. They went to Kansas and got ransacked by the Jayhawks. Baylor's at home, but, I'm not sold on Baylor. Baylor, to me, is a product of or a beneficiary of the conference they're in. That's the best conference in terms of depth in America. There's like 6 ranked teams in that conference right now.
What conference is
Big
Baylor
12.
in?
Big 12. So Houston, who is now crept up to number 2. But again, Baylor's the desperate team. Damn it. But they're 11. How desperate are they? I mean, this is like So I would say that's a tough one. Well, that's why I'm picking. It's a tough one. I'm going to go with Houston on the road again to go into Baylor.
On the road again.
And win this one. Not poop themselves like they did in Allen Fieldhouse against Kansas,
poop.
who I think is a better team than Baylor. So the Gigglesmoke guarantee is Houston winning on the road at Baylor. I'm 14-9. I've won 2 in a row. Super Bowl, and then what was the one I had? The last one I had that they won. I forget who it was. Oh, it was UConn beating Marquette, which was 1 versus 4. So that was the biggest game. So I'm 14-9 on the Gigglesmoke. Not so guarantee, but bet at 60-40. The Gigglesmoke 60-40. I made a comeback. So this is a big one. Houston at Baylor. I'm going to go with Houston on the road in a Donnie at Baylor.
What are the rankings of these two teams?
2 and 11.
Houston's 2.
Houston's 2 and Baylor's 11. So Baylor won the national championship a couple years back. They got a good program now. That coach, he's another guy who can coach. Calvin, both these guys can coach.
Who is Baylor's head coach?
I forget. He's good, though. He's a good coach. He hasn't had a lot of top talent. He's got some good talent, but he reminds me more of Shaka, but with a little more talent. But he can coach. So, but Calvin Sampson, Houston. Here's the thing. UConn got drubbed at Creighton the other night, and Creighton's ranked 17th. They're good. But Creighton hit like 60% of their threes. They shot out.
Drew?
Yeah, Scott Drew. He's good. He's a good coach. Okay. Yeah, he's got a ring. He doesn't.
Where do you win?
At Baylor.
Baylor won national title?
Yeah, they won it. The men and the women won it the same year.
Who the hell
2019 or
did they
2018?
have?
I forget. But they had 2 really good guards and the depth. But they played D. They played D. So this should be a hell of a game. I'm going to go with Houston again this time. Don't go over 2, Calvin. You're killing me. I'm going to go with Houston on the road. So that's going to do it for us tonight. We will return next Monday. We will review. We will have our first, and we will make this segment one. We will have our first baseball show. We will talk about the shit sucks and the Mets. Until then, enjoy the football, the basketball over the weekend, and the first exhibition baseball games. And we will see you Monday night. The redoubtable one himself, the highly questionable one. We will see you soon. Stay loose.
No peace, love?
I did. I did it silently.
Oh, okay.
I made did this. I
I
did
never
it.
usually peace.
I did it. I can't one up.
I didn't
see
pee once tonight.
Write that down.